Hey guys, I have the Fearless Audio Tequila and just received it. Gonna do a quick unbox. Fearless always has a really nice box and a nice experience. It's like the same box that I got. Yeah, it's the exact same box as my this is Fearless, got the little crown indent on there. Same thing as with the S8Z. Let's do this here. This is Fearless. Got a nice little cloth here. It's not paper, it's a cloth that has their name and their logo indented on it for cleaning it. It feels like it's a little bit smaller, but I think it's the exact, yeah, it's the exact same size. Wow, those are beautiful. Holy smokes, I hope you guys can see that okay. Those are really something. Same old little case, used to this. This is what I got with the last set. Nothing wrong with it. Nice case, nice and snug, sturdy. It's really good for, this is really good for like your desktop, right? Leaving it on a bedside or your desk or wherever you're listening to your audio at, because it doesn't really fit in a pocket. It's pretty hefty, but that's okay. Now let's take all this out, and there we go. It's the standard cable that I've gotten in the past from them. I'm hoping they got rid of that big heavy chunk in the middle. Yeah, they did. Okay. Oh, did they? No, they did. Okay, good. So they've got this really nice woven cable, and it's got this end on it that's heavy. You could like, I mean, this thing's weighs. So the last cable, the S8Z, they had this heavy thing there, and they had another one that was equally heavy at the Y-split. And now they've got this nice little aluminum Y-split. And yeah. Oh, and there's the chin slider. Pull that out a little bit. Well, yeah, it's a nice sturdy chin slider. I like that. I like it when they don't just go flipping all over the place and sliding up and down on their own, right? This one definitely stays in place, so that's cool. Yeah, so the last one had this, sorry guys. The last one had this thick, heavy, like this. It was actually bigger and heavier than this one. And it was right here in the Y, and man, that thing, you know, when I was listening to these, I'd walk around with them all. That thing would bang on stuff and bang on my chest. It's just not cool. That's all I can tell you. It's too heavy, way too heavy. Wow, this thing is, I mean, I haven't listened to this, so I have no clue what it sounds like, but it is friggin' gorgeous. I mean, look at that. In fact, it is so gorgeous, I need to put on my glasses. I want the best possible view of this thing. Wow, that is something else. Definitely can't hide these from my wife. And you can see the dynamic driver in there. I think you can, how's that? Yeah, there's a dynamic driver right there. And you can see the BAs here. Wow. Take this off. Yeah, typical, just molded in, no attached, which I like this just fine. This is nice and light. So, and it's 3.5, which I also like. Let's get that back on there. Well, I'm going to listen to these right away because I've gotten a couple of things in today, like 4 or 5 actually, but honestly, I'm kind of excited about these. I'm really hoping they sound good. I like Fearless products. Most of them ones I've tried, especially the S8Zs, have really nice tuning and very, very detailed sound, very good timbre, very good reproduction, separation, and I just really like them. Really pleasing to listen to. So I'm hoping that these, because there's a dynamic driver in here, are going to be the same, you know, good. Well, anyway, the review done and out to you guys, okay? There you go. Thanks. Hey guys. Okay, so this is about the Fearless Tequila. And as you can see, this is going to be special, this review. Um, this is a very beautiful IEM. I mean, this is a real trend lately. I've been seeing a lot of these two-tone sparkly IEMs, and I'm really liking it. I mean, I'm seeing some really beautiful stuff. The audio's got like the Monarch and the I can't remember the other one, but they've got really beautiful cases on them. A lot of them are doing that now, but they really outdid themselves with this Tequila. And the resin, the shell, is completely see-through, very, very crystal clear. And then this has got this, sparkly inlay. And the lettering that they put in and the emblem over here looks really good. It's like a little silver chrome emblem. It's very clean and sharp. These fit really well. They're very light, which surprises me considering how much stuff they jam in there, right? But they're very light. The cable is very nice. I'm very happy with this cable. It doesn't, I'm going to take this off of here just so we can talk about just the IEM. So, I'm going to leave that off. The cable is nice, braided, nice heavy end, and they got smart. They got rid of that stupid heavy Y split that they had in there. I'm gonna back this. I've always liked the Fearless products. I have the S8Z, and I really love that IEM. I mean, it has a fantastic tuning to it. The only thing it didn't really have was really good bass. It just didn't develop a strong bass, and it didn't have the mids were good. The mids were good, but they weren't great. But the tuning was good, and the timbre was good, and the separation and detail was excellent. And there's another thing about Fearless that I really like. So one of the things you can do with a home stereo system is when you're listening to music, if you hear a song you really like I don't know, like maybe Metallica or any number of jazz songs or anything that you like, and you crank the volume up so it gets louder. But certain things, like it doesn't suddenly, you don't get the horn section or the piano or whatever, or even the singer's voice, you don't suddenly get piercing pain from one thing because the sound is just crazy loud compared to everything else, right? It's very even. It goes louder and everything's evenly brought up in volume. So a lot of IEMs, and if you've been doing this hobby, you may have had this experience. A lot of IEMs, they sound really good at a normal listening level. And then when you start to turn it up, suddenly you get these piercing little stabs into your ear of high pitch or high frequencies, because those frequencies seem to be pushed up much, much higher than the rest of the volume. And I've always kind of, wondered if that's a function of the BA where it just starts to raise up its delivery. It's the volume, the decibels that it's putting out at a much faster rate with the amount of wattage that's being delivered to it than say the lower frequencies. And I don't know exactly what causes that, but some IEMs, and I know they can get around it because Fearless has. With the S8Z, the one thing I liked about it is that I could keep turning it up, and as I turned it up, when I heard a song that I liked and I wanted to crank it a little bit louder, I didn't have certain frequencies that were piercing through and just overriding everything. It stayed very even. Everything got louder at the same level, and no change. This Fearless Tequila is exactly the same thing. As I brought the volume up on this, I was listening to Metallica just this AM, and it sounded fantastic, and I started to really turn it up much louder than I normally do. I never had any pain. It got loud, like really loud, but I never had pain. There was no high frequencies piercing through. There was no vocals that were stabbing at my ears. Everything just stayed even and very musical and just sounded fantastic. I want to make sure I don't get too hypey on these, but I'm going to tell you that to date, these are the best sounding IEMs that I've listened to ever, period. And I'm sure next week, next month, next year, something else is going to come along. I'm going to listen to that and it's going to sound better. And I'm going to tell you that is the best I've heard ever. But to date, and you can look back at my channel, you can see all the videos I've got. To date, this is the best. It combines so many things really well. let's see. I mean, I've got the list in front of me here on my computer of all the songs that I listened to, and I went kind of crazy. Usually, if you've been watching my channel, you know I do 4 or 5 songs that I'll talk about, right? I've got a list here I typed out. It's like 10 songs, because I was stunned at what these did. So one of the main things that they do, so they put a dynamic driver in. Let's start with build and stuff. So supposedly it's 8BA and dynamic driver. So I'm sure they put the dynamic driver in as a response to, the S8Z being great, but not really that much bass. The bass now is excellent. One of the things about Fearless is, and when you saw the box, I did the unboxing, which I'm going to tie to this video. I'm not going to do it separately. The quality and the workmanship they put in is, I think, the standard that all of the Chinese manufacturers should be following. I mean, every time I get their product, it's just perfect. It's perfect. And you can look at this thing. I'm going to take this tip off because it's a fully molded. It doesn't have a separate tube, right, attached for the earpiece. If you look at this inside, which I got my jeweler's loop out and started looking at it, and there's a detailed workmanship even on the inside of this IEM that I haven't seen with others. So they actually made, and you might see these little spots of specks of purple in there. I'm not sure how well this is going to come on the video, but they made a little framework, a jig, you might say. Looks like it's made of some kind of purple plastic or rubber, and the dynamic driver is slipped into it, and the BAs are slipped into it. In other words, they made a little skeleton inside that holds everything together, and then that's placed inside. Most of the manufacturers, they just dump some glue in there, or they fit them in there and glue the BAs in, or it's put into the resin kind of thing. It's not done the same way. There's a lot of attention to detail on this IEM and the way it's made and the quality of the workmanship that's really obvious when you look at this. I mean, I'm sure one of the reasons they sell this with the clear case is they're proud of their workmanship. I mean, I would be. If I made this, I'd be very proud of it. So that's one of the things about Fearless that I really like, is that they put such effort into what they're making. The box aside, I mean, they use the same box, same ear tips, and they're fine. If it came in a crappy box, I could care less. I mean, these things are pretty awesome. So let's get back to earth. The build quality is excellent on these. The fit in my ear is very good. I have tiny ears, so some things don't always fit well. These fit really well. As a size comparison, which I just did in a couple other videos, this is an iPod, Air that comes with, the old iPhones. I don't think they ship them with them anymore, but so they're, a reasonable size. And if I get into the sound quality, and I'll start with some songs. So there's a song by, if there's a group called Aha from the late 80s, early 90s. And that group, they've been around for years. And so the two guys that are the main guys in that group, they did an MTV Unplugged session some years ago, and it was just beautiful. I mean, the guy is much older now, and his voice is very mature. And by that, I mean his control of it and how he sings is just excellent. And I was really moved by that session when I saw it, even just on television. And so I got the recording of that, and it's an excellent recording. And there's a fantastic guitar picking, and his vocals in there have a very slight vibrato that comes through. And not all IEMs produce that correctly. And some, it sounds really bad. It sounds like there's something wrong. And others that produce it more correctly, it sounds beautiful. These produce it so well. His voice, it was moving to me. I could feel the emotion that he was putting forth in that song coming through these IEMs, and that's something that's rare. I don't have that happen very often. Only a few times. The Peacock Audio Spring ones, those were really good at delivering the emotion of a vocalist. These are really good at delivering the emotion of a vocalist. But that's with the Peacocks, that was kind of it. I mean, they had other stuff too. The detail was okay, that kind of thing, but they're meant for vocalists. That's what that set is for. So the guitar, the quality of how it was reproduced, the tone, the sharpness and the roll off on the string picking, um, the 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 three-dimensional aspect of it was fantastic. I that song, I felt like I was sitting there in the audience and I was looking at them. I was looking at the guy playing the guitar and the guy playing piano and the guy singing. I mean, I felt like they were right there and I could see what they were doing because it was so realistic. And that is something that happens when you have really good timbre. That means that these are tuned in such a way that they're delivering um, the instrumentation and the vocals and the tones that are being produced, the frequencies, in such a way that it sounds very realistic. Um, the next song that I listened to after Aha was Alexis Cole, Alone Together. There's a lot of cymbals and snare drum in her songs. Well, not all of them, but in the ones that I like. There's a lot of cymbals and snare drum in the songs of hers that I like, and this particular album that I was listening to, and they're produced so realistically on these. Again, this total three-dimensional feel. I think that these have great detail, but it's not overriding. The S8Z has very strong detail, and I haven't heard the S8F Freedom, but I've heard the detail is so high on those that for some people can be fatiguing. And I've got the Sony, the EX1000s, and the I like the detail. It's fun to listen to, but for long sessions it can be fatiguing. And I have heard a set in the past that had such detail that it ended up making me a little bit nauseous when I was listening to it. Like it was too much. My brain was getting overloaded. These have great detail, really great detail, but it is not overwhelming in any way. I didn't feel fatigued at all. I could listen to these for a very long time. Another song I used was Amanda Martinez, which I really like that album. I say it a lot. It's in, I listed a lot in my descriptions from the Amore album. And I think it's because that album was recorded so well. A lot of audiophiles use it for testing because it was recorded so well. The guitar in that, the vocals in that, the drum in that, in the song Tomolo is just incredible. There's a strumming in that song where it starts off with the guitarist and he's strumming. And it's like it's a string guitar. A non-electric guitar, and he's strumming while he's holding the strings, not completely against the fret. So it gives that scraping sound. And on some IEMs you can hear it. Yeah, that's what he's doing. And on others, it sounds a little just like a noise. And on yet others, which are very detailed, you can really hear the detail of it. But on these, you can hear the detail of it, but you can hear a round off in the notes as he's scraping over it that makes it sound so realistic. Another song that I used to test with from the soundtrack of The Truth About Charlie is De Cara a la Pared, I think it's pronounced. And the reason I like that song is the very beginning of it. There's basically rain coming down, and it's splashing on kind of a tin roof and also on the ground. And in that song, then there's footsteps in the rainy water. And with some IEMs, you don't even know what that is. It just sounds like a noise of some kind. And in other IEMs, you can hear the detail and whatnot. Now, when I get an IEM that I can clearly hear that it's rain and on the roof and on the ground and the feet splashing, when I can clearly make all that out, I can hear the drops. That's when I know the detail is good, because I've listened to many that can't do that. But these absolutely picked up that detail, and it's like I was standing there, like on the porch, watching this person splashing in the rain. I mean, it was three-dimensional. The Go-Betweens, I don't know if you guys even know who they are. The group's called The Go-Betweens. They've got a song called Love Goes On. It's from their remastered album. The guitar in that and the voices on that were just fantastic, clear. And that's a good song to test with, because I tested that with, I'm trying to think of the other IEM. I can't think of it now, but I tested that with a couple IEMs and it didn't sound good. Like I was like, this is a crappy recording. but I heard it on my ISNs, my H40 ISN H40s, and it sounded great on those. And then on this, it sounded phenomenal. It sounded so clear and crisp. It was excellent. Eagles Hotel California. I mean, that's like a go-to for everybody, right? And I've got the DSD remastered version. I don't know if DSD matters or not, but the remaster does. The guitar picking and the timbre and there's in that song, there's in the about halfway through that song, there's some cymbal playing going on in the back. It's behind the guitar that's playing, and typically some of your IEMs or headphones you can't even hear it, and others you can kind of hear it, but it's just this cymbal in the back. It's not really too realistic. With these, what I found was that I could clearly, it wasn't loud, it wasn't out of place, but I could clearly hear it. And I could clearly hear the three-dimensional aspect of it. Like at that, I could see that person in the back tapping that cymbal while this guy's playing guitar, right? Tapping it very lightly. And I got to tell you, on that song, I cranked these up loud, and there was no distortion. The louder it got, the clearer it got. That's the best I can describe it. It just sounded better the louder it got. There was another song, Rodrigo and Gabriela. I use them a lot because I love guitar, first off, and they have a very special guitar playing method, and I really like listening to them. Their style is fantastic. I listened to Metavolution from the album Metavolution, and that song, the Metavolution song, there's a bass line in that song that you can pick up when they're tapping on their guitar. And some IEMs don't do a great job. In fact, the S8Z, I love hearing that song on the S8Z because the detail was really good. But the one thing it always felt like was missing was there was no power behind it, like no bass. I couldn't feel that energy of the low end. With these IEMs, I could right away hear the difference and feel the difference. That's right away. That's where you could see that they really bumped it up on these as far as the bass goes. Justin LeBlue, I listened to his album, and I got to tell you, his album, because he's like Rodrigo and Gabriela. He's all guitar, and he does both classical and stuff of his own design, jazz type guitar. But his guitar is his albums are recorded really well. At least the one I've got, the Blue album, is record, or Le Blue it's called, is recorded really well. And I compared this directly against the HSN i40 because I really like the HSN i40. That's kind of my de facto standard now. And I compared this to that, and this was hands down the winner, which I was really surprised about. I mean, this is more expensive than the HSN, but look at the S8F. I'm sorry, the S8Z by Fearless is like $549 or something, right? It's over $500. This one was, I believe, $349, and so it's almost $200 less than the S8Z, and only like $100 more or $200 more. Yeah, $200 more than the HSN. But this is one of those times where it's like, yeah, the HSN costs this amount, and this costs more. The Tequila costs more, but it was totally worth it. I mean, I can actually see that my dollars bought me more sound quality, more experience with this. So I was okay to hear that this was better than the HSN. I was surprised, but I shouldn't say I was surprised. These just sounded so good. I knew they were special right away. I listened again, Glenn Campbell, "Gentle on My Mind" from the Capital Years album. It sounded so epic. That song, the Glenn Campbell song. And I would say that was kind of what happened with all the songs I listened to on this. They made everything sound epic, is the best way to sound it. Is the best way to say it. Everything I listened to just sounded better. And everything I listened to, I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard that before. And I haven't heard it that way before. There's a good example of the separation and the imaging on these. There's a Beyonce song, and I can't remember the name of the song now, but it's from her Lemonade album. And in that particular song, it's almost all vocal, that song, or that one track. And there's like 3 or 4 male vocals and 3 or 4 female vocals, including Beyonce. and they're all singing and clapping, but they sound like they're all standing next to each other. They're all standing next to each other. But on this IEM, the male vocals and the clapping moved to the back and the female vocals moved to the front. And it sounded totally correct. I mean, it sounded right, but I could really hear that those guys were behind the females. It was so clear and so three-dimensional. And I hadn't heard it that way. And I've heard that album, I don't know, 100 times. I love that album. So I've heard it so many times. And to hear it separate that way when I'd never heard that before was almost jarring to me, right? And I don't want to, like I said earlier, I don't want to go crazy hyping these because I know I'm going to hear something else that sounds, as good or better. At least I think I am. I don't know for sure. I think I might order the Monarchs next and try those because those Critical gave those like an S rating. So I haven't seen anybody rate these yet, and there may be some out there, and I just haven't caught it because I've been pretty busy. I'm kind of in my own world, just so you know. I don't have a lot of time to watch other people's YouTube videos or read reviews. Sometimes I'll scour through my phone when I got some extra time, but I'm so busy working that I don't really have a lot of extra time. I have this channel. I have a full-time job. I contract as a computer expert would be the best way to say it, but I mean, I don't want to bore you with what I actually do. And then on top of that, I've got a business, a partner and myself, and we make martial arts gear. So, I mean, I've got a lot to do. I don't have a lot of time to spend also surfing around about this stuff. So, but I love audio, so I try to stick with it. I mean, it's one of those things that always brings me pleasure, no matter over the years, no matter what. Especially if I'm tired and not feeling great, listening to a great song that makes me feel good is like, it's like my little reprieve, I guess. But so hearing something that sounds like this, is special because it gives me, when I do have time to listen to it, it just, it makes that time really special. So okay, I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry, guys. So the highs, the high frequencies on these, the mids are excellent. Vocals are fantastic on this. The bass, excellent. The sub bass is excellent. I would say the only thing about this is I noticed that sometimes the stage was deep, front to back, but not wide. There were some songs that felt a little close to my ears, where I've heard them on, say, the Tanchjim Oxygen, if I'm saying that right. And the stage is really good on those. And so those songs sounded wider than these. But the detail and the separation on these was and the imaging was just so three-dimensional and fantastic. The timbre on these is the best I've ever heard. Up to date, the only thing that's compared, even, which not as good, but compared, I would say, would be the AudioSense, the T800, and the AudioSense, the AQ3. Those two IEMs have better timbre than almost any others that I've listened to up until this point. The ISNs are good. The H40s, those things are great. The HSN I40s those things are great, and they have good timbre as well, but not like these. These are special. I mean, if I was doing a list like I've seen out there's quite a few reviewers now doing these lists, and I've kind of looked over a couple of them, and to me it seems like way too much work, so I'm not going to be doing that. But these, I would think, would end up in that special category. I can't believe that some of the ones that are in the special category are so much better than these. If they are, I'm going to be amazed. I'm absolutely going to be amazed. So yeah, these for me are a real end game IEM. I don't know what else to tell you about them. They are 100% worth the price that they're listed at. Myself, if you've got $400 to spend, or $350, I think they're $349. If you've got that money to spend, I would not hesitate a second in telling you to buy these. I would not think to myself, oh, that's a lot of money and this person's going to buy these IEMs. I hope they're going to be good. I wouldn't even hesitate. I know that these are special, that these are fantastic. The timbre, the treble, the mids, the bass, all of it, fantastic. The smoothness with which these deliver music, and by that I mean like I said earlier, I could crank these up and I didn't get any weird out of place highs that didn't sound right, or lows. Everything just got louder but stayed even. Fit was good. Yeah, I mean, the experience I had listening to music on these was special. It was not like any others that I've listened to, and that's the absolute truth. So I don't know if I can say anything else about these. These are a definite recommend on buying them. So I hope this video helps you, and good luck.